Okay, welcome everyone to the Matri Satsang of Sri Anandamayi Ma. And we are in the presence of her paduka, her sandals she wore on her own feet. And I always have to give the disclaimer that we are recording this. So if you do participate, you will be recorded, and we put it on our YouTube channel, which is Anandamayi Ma Satsang West, for devotees to see and listen to these readings and the discussion we have. So, but please don't let that dampen your enthusiasm to participate and join in the fun of being with Ma. So I always like to make it conscious what we are doing. We are here not to study the words and teachings of an historical character, like studying the life of George Washington or something. Anandamayi Ma stepped into time, apparently, for 86 years. But she is a figure beyond time, existing beyond time. And she left her footprint in this world as her name, as her form, as her teachings, as her voice, so we can tune into eternity through her. And so when we study her, we are turning into the deepest level of existence. And her one purpose in coming was to help us, aid us, and empower us to realize our own divine nature inside. So this isn't just a fan club for a departed, like, a fan club for a rock band or something. Ma is, first of all, our eternal mother, and really the self of ourself. And the more we study her life and the more we enter into her being, the more we experience that she is the consciousness from which our consciousness projects inwardly. So when we remember her, we're taking our mind out of our little eternal loop of self-thinking, small self-thinking, into the wider range of consciousness, of eternal consciousness. So she's such a powerhouse, such a storehouse of blessings and empowerment for the spiritual life, that we should just appreciate her more and more and more. So just as the devotees of Krishna in like the Srimad Bhagavatam, it says that when we remember the stories of Krishna, the leelas of Krishna, our mind is purified. Ma is also an avatar of no less stature than Krishna. And so when we remember just her life and how she lived her life and the words she says, it's purifying to our mind. So that's the first thing. So we're purifying our hearts, we're remembering her, we're receiving instructions of how to proceed. And by remembering her and her instructions, she also is at the same time empowering us to fulfill them, giving us that power to do sadhana, to concentrate the mind, to remember her. And we were just at a Gurdwara, and in the hukam it said, God, who is the enemy of the ego. That was an interesting definition. And Ma always says, remember the divine at all times. That's her main message. Remember God in any way you can. Remember his name, remember his presence. And she says, through this, the small self is dissolved into the larger self. So God is, and we don't think of God as an enemy of anything, but she is the enemy of the ego, in the sense that when we remember the divine, the ego becomes less and less. And this is the path of bhakti yoga. We start by having our ego real small, and God creeps in as a small light. And the more we remember the divine, the more the small self becomes less significant, and eventually the larger self as the divine comes through. So that's our purpose today. So one of our purposes in starting this satsang is that we want to have community. It was like a burning desire in my heart when I met so many people in my travels who had been touched by Ma's grace, and Ma's reached out and opened their hearts, and they have this wonderful relationship with Ma, and they had no place to go. There's no ashram outside of India. We have a beautiful ashram in India, and there's actually still about 20 ashrams of Ma in India. A lot of them are inactive now, but so in India you can find a place. Here, this one on Hawaii, which is very insular. So where do you go? So this wonderful online community we're building now is so we can all have support together and joy together. And like last night, some of us met in person, even at an event. So because of that, I ask your patience, and we like to introduce every single person who's come. So please turn on your video so we can see your face. And first, I want to introduce, first of all, my dear wife and Dharma Patni, Gloria.
Gemma.
And then my co-host, Pragya Hallstrom, who's the author of Mother of Bliss and the editor of 2 wonderful new volumes about Ma, which has come out, who also hosts our Matri Satsang in Boston for many, many years. So Pragya, will you say hello?
Gemma, good to see you all. Yeah, I wanted to tell you, Mangalanandaji, I got an email yesterday from Swami Kedarnath congratulating me on the Gospel of Sri Anandamayi Ma. And he said that he had always wanted to do a book on Ma called The Gospel of Sri Anandamayi Ma. So that was so sweet.
Who was it?
Swami Kedarnath.
Oh, how nice. I sent him 2 copies. I said, from your spiritual
Thank you so much for sending them. Yeah.
How it was beautiful he wrote to you. How beautiful.
Yeah, just so you all know, I took initiation from Swami Kedarnath about 8 years ago. And so I hadn't heard much from him since. So it was just really a sweet note, especially around the title, because I had a few people say, oh, that's a terrible title for the book. It's too Christocentric. And I was like, what about Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna? So anyway, it's great to see you all. And yeah, Jai Ma.
Jai Ma. Yeah, there's also the Gospel of Swami Ramdas, which is, in his world tour with Swami Satchidananda.
Gospel of Divine Mother.
Yeah, right. Yeah, wonderful. That's so nice that Swami Kedarnath wrote. He I lived in his ashram in 12 years for 12 years in India. And he's a wonderful yogi and saint, but also a prolific author. He's written many books on Ma in Hindi, and he collected all the sayings of Ma we had at that time before Pragya's book came out, and put him in a 6 or 7 part series called Vachanamrita, Immortal Sayings. And I helped translate some of them with small parts. It's such a huge job. But now with the Gospel of Ma, so I knew he'd be very happy to see this. So it's beautiful that he wrote that. Wonderful. And let's see, our co-host today, a technical co-host is Savita. Will you say hello, Savita?
Jai Ma, I'm Savita. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area near Mangalanandaji and Gloria and Rainy Didi. And I will go down how it appears on my screen.
Yeah, actually, let me introduce another person. My name is Mangalananda, if you're here for the first time. And I received Diksha from Ma's own hands in 1973 and traveled with her throughout India in 73, 74. I've been living in her ashrams ever since. And I was given the title Acharya, which just means an appointed teacher of the lineage. So that's kind of my credentials for doing this whole thing. Okay. And now, so Savita, will call you by name. Go ahead, Savita, from there.
Okay, so we'll start with, and I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on at the moment.
I'll show you one more time. And for this time, later on, we're going to have an open discussion and sharing. After we give our readings and things, we'll have an open time people can join. But this time, since we have a lot of people, just briefly just say your name and where you're from. Okay, so we can get through this. Okay, very good.
Okay, so we'll start with Katya.
Jai Ma, it's Katya, joining from Portugal, and very, very happy. Always a blessing to be here with you. Jai Ma, thank you.
Jai Ma, Katya, always good to see you.
Thank you.
Jai Ma, Renu Didi.
Jai Ma, welcome to everyone, and good to be here. And yeah, I'm in Fremont, California, and great to be here as always. Love y'all.
Jai Ma. Renu is always on duty to do say that.
And her recordings can be found on YouTube as well, the recordings of the satsang. Dr. Murad?
Jai Ma, this is Murad and Neeta Padamsi from Boston. Lots of love. Jai Ma.
Jai Ma.
Jai Ma, Dr. G. Good to see both of you. And Matri is also on camera this time. Good.
And we have David. if you want to unmute yourself, please.
You have to look in the bottom left of the screen, just push the little thing and unmute, then mute, mute again afterwards.
Jai Ma to everyone. I'm from San Diego.
Welcome, David. Always good to see you.
Jema, Michael.
Jema, I'm Michael from Northern California and Sebastopol, and I have to say that Mangalananda has the best Kirtan band in the world.
He was at our Kirtan last night. It was nice to see you.
Fantastic.
It's true. I'm so fortunate to play with these wonderful musicians. We have so much fun when we have a Kirtan. Our purpose is just to share the divine names, but we do it with style and musical class. So it's fun.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was good to see you last night, Michael, and nice to see you now too.
Thank you.
Jema, Kathleen.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, Kathleen from Stanhope, New Jersey. Jai Ma.
Welcome, Kathleen. Jai Ma.
Thank you.
And Sarah.
Sarah on the big island of Hawaii. Jai Ma.
Jai Ma, Sarah. Welcome.
And we have Sanjay.
Jai Ma, this is Sanjay from Wichita, Kansas. Jai Ma, this is Shivan Jaswan. And we are happy to be over here. Thank you, Jai Ma.
Very good. Good to see you both always. Jai Ma. Aapka swagat hai.
Thank you.
And we have Julia.
Jai Ma, everyone. Julia Shyama here from Canada.
Always good to see you, Julia. Julia also received Diksha from Ma's own hands.
Jema, Frank and Denise.
Jai Ma, I'm Frank.
Jai Ma, I'm Denise from Hermiston, Oregon.
Jai Ma.
Good to see you. Always.
Always.
We'll make it up to Oregon sometime and talk.
Jema, Carlos.
Jai Ma, this is Carlos from Florida. Good to see you guys. Jai Ma.
Yes, good to see you, Carlos. And nice to talk to you recently also.
Likewise, thank you.
Jai Ma.
Jema, Blake, who was also at Kirtan yesterday.
Hey Ma, I'm Blake from the East Bay, Dublin area. It's great to see you all yesterday and today. Jai Ma.
Good to see you, Blake. Also a wonderful author. Several books published.
Jema, Arpita.
Jai Ma, my name is Arpita. I live in Florida.
I'm Robert Brown, and I'm Orno.
Good to see you both, Arpita and Robert. And I always like to say, Arpita also received Diksha from Mom. She was the time I was with Mom, she was also there. Old friend.
And then Tracy.
Jai Ma, I'm Tracy. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area, and I had the pleasure of being present yesterday. So thank you for blessing me. Blessings to all. Thank you.
Oh, nice. Good, good. Jai
I
Ma.
remember her.
Yeah, nice. It's
Nice
so
to
good
see
when
both.
people from our Satsang group, we get to meet in person, and some people become friends that didn't know each other before. This is community. This is what we want. This is wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jai Ma.
Jema, Guir.
Hey, Ma. We're Llewellyn, Southern New Hampshire. Just visiting today, checking it out. Mangalananda is a friend, so and Gloria. Hello.
I'm very touched by you, President. Silpurk is a fabulous Kirtan singer. She sings, mostly Sig Gurbani, and we are her biggest fans. We we pirate some of your music sometimes. No, what is it called? We cover your music sometimes.
But not well. It's just
Not well.
such a joy to see you.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, so I'm happy you're here. We're talking about Anandamayi Ma, who is, just everyone's mother.
Yeah. She came into a meditation of mine years ago, so I've always kept a picture of her on my harmonium ever since then.
Oh, wonderful. What a pleasant surprise.
So does he.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Jema Sakura.
Jema, Janet?
Jema, everyone. Janet from Florida.
David from Florida. It's wonderful to see everybody.
Yeah.
Jema.
Jema, always wonderful to see you guys too.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing the Patak soon, so we'll send them your best regards.
Yes, absolutely. Masa is good. And we're in the Bahamas again. If you want to jump over, if I could do last year in New Year's Eve.
Jema, Gabriel?
Hi, Gabriel in Seattle. Jema.
Welcome, Gabriel. Jema.
Hi.
And I believe that's it. Mangalananda.
Okay, yeah, smaller group this time. That's good. Very good. Well, welcome everyone. I'm sure more people will join a bit later too. So we have kind of a liturgical way of proceeding. So I always start with assuring all of us, so we remember that Ma was here before us. So Ma has also come, even though we can't see her on screen other than here. So let's read Ma's own words talking about her presence with us, okay? So Ma says, as it says in the Gita, Ma Uvacha, I am ever with each one of you, wherever you happen to be. But your vision is tied down to worldly matters and you have little time to direct your eyes to this body in your thoughts and actions. What can I do? I have Matri Satsang. But know it for certain that whatever you do in thought and deed, whether you are near or in distant lands, never escapes my loving attention. Just as at a flash of torchlight, your faces gleam forth in their bold outlines, all your facial expressions appear in my mind when you meditate on me or talk about me or sit down to pray to me. This is called infinite consciousness. Ma rarely said I. She always said this body, Yeshuru. So she says, for this body, the question of accepting or declining anyone does not arise. At all times and under all circumstances, in inspiration and in dryness, this body remains and ever will remain with everyone. She continues. This is Ma speaking. She says, in all your activities and all your sadhana, Ma is with you. With perfect repose, sit still, thinking. In the midst of emptiness, Ma is with me. This will give you ananda, bliss. Whether you meditate quietly or whether you lay down, feel Ma is with me at every single moment. And here she explains how she can do this. She says, the Atma, the true self, the Atma of this body is the Atma of all. It cannot be that anyone anywhere is not Ma's very own. So she is there as the self of ourself inside of us. She continues, for one who knows me, I am one with him. For one who wants to know me, I am very near to him. And for one who does not know me, I'm a beggar before him. So she wants to be with us. She says, you ask me if I love you? You may or may not be able to be without me, but I simply cannot do without any of you. And it's kind of an esoteric meaning too, because each of us is a little cell within the body of the universe. We're all connected, and the whole universe would fall apart without one of us. So every one of us.
And isn't it true that when there's turmoil in ourselves and in the world, we all pray, and from our prayers comes down such a being?
It's true. Yeah, it's very true. Ma said she is the Vyakta Rupa. That means the manifested form of the longing of all mankind. She said, your longing brought this body down. Yeah, it's really true. Okay, one last wonderful thing. I love this one. She says, anyone calling out for God from any land, in any language, and in any age, remember their cries reach this heart like waves crashing onto the shore. Wow. So she is aware of us very much. And Okay, now we do the kirtan now. Yeah. Okay, so we always like to start with the kirtan because we're going to intellectually study Ma's words and sayings and life movements and things, but we want to tune into her with our heart. So we have a tradition here, a long-term tradition of however long we've been doing this, of this kirtan, Om Maha Sharanam. So Om Maha Sharanam. Sharanam means a place of refuge. So we're saying, Oh Ma, you are my refuge. You're my place of stillness, of security, of refuge. And so now we have our wonderful sister Katya in Portugal, and she and I are taking turns doing this. So this is her month is in Om Ma Sharanam. So Katya in Portugal will lead us in this kirtan, Om Ma Sharanam. Katya?
Thank you. Shri Shri Anandamayi Mata Ki Jai. Om Sharanam. 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 Anandamayi Ma, 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 Anandamayi Ma. Om Sharanam. 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 Om Om Sharanam Oma, 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 Om Sharanam, 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 Om Sharanam. Om Sharanam. Om Sharanam. Om Sharanam. Om Sharanam. Om Shri Shri Anandamayi Mata Ki Jai.
Thank you, Katya. It's really beautiful. So let's just sit quietly for a moment and feel Ma's presence with us. We can go. Oh. Yeah, Pragya and I were encouraging Katya to get her own Kirtan group and spread the divine names. It's so important to have good Kirtan singers around. You have a real talent. It's beautiful. Okay, I always like to start with reading something from Ma's life, just how people related to her, how she moved through the world. In the small book I wrote about Ma, I said at one point, Ma's life could be written 1,000 times over by so many different people because she related to everyone in so many different personal ways. It's so beautiful. She has so many people coming to her, but she managed to touch everyone in her own way. So this is from an author of, this is from Umesh Dutt. I think he's Bengali man. So this is just some random memories of what it was like to be with Ma and traveling with Ma and the expectation of her coming and the joy of it all. Nothing, you can't really convey the magical touch of what it was like to be with Ma. But these are some nice memories. Okay, so UC Dutt says, the day before Navaratri, 1956, a Tonga was moving fast along the main road of Vrindavan. Attention of the passerbys was drawn by a tumultuous crowd and some cars inside the precincts of a temple. All of a sudden, a car rushed through the gate and unexpectedly halted a few steps ahead. Lo, Ma was here. While passing, she caught sight of me sitting in the Tonga and stopped her car and called me. I ran to her and bowed down. Ma inquired what had brought me there. I told her that I'd come on an official visit to Mathura and Vrindavan. I did not know that Ma would be there, and the scene suggested that something unusual was taking place. Ma told me that Lord Shiva was going to be installed in the ashram next day and asked me to attend the function. Mother's presence and the prospects of spending some time around her struck all the chords in my heart. Thus came Mother to her son. So this is the title of this article is called Ma Comes, Ever Comes. So it's kind of some of his meetings. Again, on the eve of Holi, some of my relatives went to Vrindavan and paid their homage to Ma, who was then staying there to observe the festival of love. Centuries ago, the blue boy had played his flute and danced there in tune with the heartbeats of his playmates and milkmaids. Perhaps their associations took visible shapes, and Ma decided to pass the occasion on the bank of the Yamuna to put a new life into the old Leela. Ma frequently came for Vaishnava festivals like Holi and Janmashtami to Vrindavan Ashram. We were there. Did we go this trip?
No.
Not this trip. But that's also where I received Diksha from Ma, in that very ashram. It's in those days there was a boys' school there. Also, it's a big, beautiful ashram, a big, beautiful garden, and
still beautiful.
Yeah, still beautiful. Yeah, I also let it run down, but it's still bright and it's still an active ashram too. She observed Holi in Vrindavan in 1956 and also 1957. Learning that the visitors were my relatives, Ma said to one of them, "Write to Upan that his daughter wants to meet her father." Isn't that sweet? She called herself his daughter. Write to Upan that his daughter wants to meet her father. I got the message, but could not go to Vrindavan immediately, and wrote inquiring if the daughter would come to father or the son should go to the mother. See, people just took liberties of Ma because it was such a loving, sweet relationship. The letter did not reach Ma for a long time, and so a reply was not received. Then I did not know that Ma would actually come to her son. I had the privilege of Ma's darshan in Varanasi in May 1956 during her 60th birthday celebration. On that festive occasion, Ma was extremely busy, but she was all sweetness and love. Like a pillar of light, she was moving from place to place and bringing joy to all around her. See, Ma manifested so many different bhavs. Many times she would be, like if a festival was going on, she would be all places at once, instructing how to do the food and serving people and laughing and bringing. Other times she would be very enjoying. And sometimes just very solemn, sometimes very joyful, different bhavs at different times. But everything invoked different feelings in the hearts of the devotees. I remember there was one period where for several weeks she was just very, very endrawn and very much in herself. And what that invoked in all of us, I talked to people also, like, how does Ma make you feel when she's like this? It made us feel even more longing to be where Ma really is, because we knew we were seeing her externally, but her real consciousness was in infinity, in the self. And when she was so endrawn like that, we realized we can't get to where she really is now. And it made it actually inflamed our hearts to want us to do our sadhana with more enthusiasm we could really be where she was. Because so the author goes on, like a pillar of light, she was moving from place to place and bringing joy to all around her. In my presence, whenever she met a group of devotees, she would refer to an old incident in a jocular mood and tell them, "I went with Baba to Dehradun side, but Baba went away, leaving me behind." He explains, about 28 years ago, I had accomplished Ma to Sahasradhara. On my way back, as already arranged, I took leave of her and the party at Rajpur and prepared to go to Missouri. I retorted most humbly, saying, "A son may leave a mother, but a mother cannot leave her son." All present, including Ma, enjoyed the fun. Like a true mother, she fed me sumptuously before I left Varanasi. I cast my last lingering look at her lotus feet. The whole atmosphere was charged with her divine spirit, and everything seemed to have been softened with her overflowing love. So see, these are just little snippets of his experience, but you just see Ma before us, and try to get a hint of what that feeling was, just to be with Ma, the joy and the intimacy. It was so wonderful. Ma comes in 1957. Seth Gujar Mol Modi, he was a great businessman and a great devotee of Ma in Delhi, informed me that Ma would be spending a week at Modinagar after Holi, and more than 100 sadhus and devotees would be accompanying her. My joy knew no bounds. I was waiting impatiently for the day when Ma would come. An elaborate arrangement was made to receive her in a garden house outside the town. A big pandal, that's a big tent, big colorful tent. It's always done very well. The big pandal was erected on an extensive lawn for Ras Leela, lectures, bhajan, etc. Ras Leela is when they do plays depicting the life of Krishna. Tents were pitched to accommodate 400 persons. Hundreds of mango trees smiling through blossoms and multicolored flower beds, dancing breezes, called visitors to a place of rest. My joy was not unmixed with a sense of sorrow, for my board's examination would begin soon, and I would be almost a prisoner in one of the biggest examination centers. Ma arrived in the evening. At her bidding, the procession was abandoned. A big crowd headed by Sri Modi accorded her a most respectful welcome with garlands and arati. I saw her only from a distance. A stream of people went to her room for darshan, and Modiji saw me standing outside and called me in. Ma gave a broad smile and said, "I knew you were here. Someone told me. Did you write to me?" I replied, "I wrote a long time ago, not recently. I was thinking of coming to Vrindavan during this time of Holi, but could not." Ma said, "Why did you not go? There was a Maharasa at Modinagar for the whole week. It was indeed attractive." Ma received visitors any time when free between 10 a.m. and late hours at night. After lectures in the pandal, She led Kirtan, chanting in a melodious voice, and recited divine names for about 15 minutes, in which all present joined in a state of forgetfulness, so that several thousand devotees behaved like one man. It really can't be described what some of these festivals are like with Ma, because there would sometimes be just a few people, sometimes hundreds, sometimes thousands. But it's true, Ma brought everybody together just in this one heart. It was incredible. And when there was Kirtan going on, it was just literally divine. I was at a Kirtan once, a 24-hour Mahamantra Kirtan in Kanpur, Ma's ashram a small ashram in Kanpur, where Ma was there. And it was 24 hours. She was nonstop walking around this altar. And sometimes Ma would walk with us and we would dance around Ma. Then she would go like this and the Kirtan would just rise up in fervor. So there was, Ma had a way of bringing everything and everyone together and creating this incredible atmosphere of joy. It was just amazing. They seemed to lose their identity in a living presence of the divine. Hari Baba, Hari Baba, we talked about his life in one of our sessions here at Mantra Satsang. Hari Baba was a great Vaishnava saint with many, many disciples, had a whole village where he lived, where they were his disciples. And he was utterly devoted to Ma and passed away in Ma's presence, matter of fact. But he would come to Ma and bring all his devotees with him. And he would always do morning kirtan. He was a great, great devotee of Sri Krishna. And he saw Ma as Krishna. So this is Hari Baba. So he was there at this function he's describing. Hari Baba's life was a lesson to all. He would follow the program like the hands of a clock and would remain all absorbed in what he said. He remained oblivious to the world outside. He lived and moved in a world of his own. He fanned the actors during the Ras Leela, considered as Krishna, and his companions at the Leela rang a bell at Kirtan and talked about the glories of devotees in his discourses. His single point of devotion, self-forgetfulness, and tenacity of purpose marked him out as a saint of outstanding nature and ability. In fact, he was the master of ceremonies there. When he would invite Ma to his village, he would always have a big procession, and he would have elephants and everything. And he would put Ma sometimes in an elephant, sometimes in a big cart or something. And he would walk in front of it backwards, leading the kirtan, singing cymbals. He would walk for like 2 or 3 miles backwards, never taking his eyes off Ma, watching her coming backwards and singing kirtan. He was so devoted. And this is a true story. He wanted to have his last breath in Ma's ashram. So he was there. I forget which ashram he was in, but he was laying there passing away, and Ma was looking at him, and suddenly Ma went up and took her hands from feet to head and just went like that. And his soul was gone with Ma. That's what we call a good death. Maybe all. And Ma come and do that to all of us. One day, some of us, one day, some of us were sitting in Ma's room. Mother hinted at self-knowledge as the supreme knowledge. It is essential. Bhajan is the means, but it becomes spontaneous. No one can do it. Does she mean that bhajan goes on automatically once the spiritual energy is roused by the grace of the Guru? Then Ma said, what about death? Death has to die. It has to be killed. At this stage, Mohi Sahib ushered 2 gentlemen into Ma's presence. One was Raj Pandit of the Patyadala Darbar, and another was Seth Narayan Das Bajoria, a man of culture and learning. So many people came to Ma, simple villagers, but also like heads of state and also to pundits. She was supremely respected. They were introduced, and Ma began to talk again of supreme knowledge. She said, what exists is one. It has become many and appears in several forms. You have come to yourself. Many times people say, Ma, we're here for the first time. She would say, no, you're very new. You've come to your own self. The ensuing conversation was like this. Pandit, are you Maitreyi? Maitreyi is a character from the Upanishads, great lady Rishi. Ma, I am only your little daughter. Pandit, you're a Gargi who had discussions with Yajnavalkya, again from the Upanishads. Ma, I am whatever you call me, your little girl. I know nothing and often talk nonsense. Pandit, no, you are Gayatri. The Pandit recited some slokas in great joy and took leave. See, Ma says, I am whatever you see me as. So and there are some people who saw her as a little Bengali lady with 1 tooth missing. She was that for them. There's some people who saw her as the divine incarnation. She was that for them. So The Pandit recited some slokas and great joy and took leave. Sri Bajoria, who as a rule avoided the company of women, sat quietly in all humility. Later he told me that when he saw Ma for the first time at Haridwar, he saw his own mother, who had died a long time ago, and he could not restrain his tears. He wept for about half an hour. He felt the presence of the Divine Mother in him. 2 days after, I was detained in the college for conducting examinations and felt sorry that Ma had come so close, but I could not have her darshan. To my great joy, Ma sent words that she would visit the college. Remember how she said earlier she would come to her son. Ma arrived accompanied by Mrs. Gujamara Modi, Modi's wife, some sannyasis and brahmacharis. I conducted the party to Gita Bhavan, a hall with life-size paintings of saints, patriarchs, gods, and goddesses. Ma and her companions were seated on a raised platform. Ma took the lead in Kirtan music, joined by the rest of us. Who is Ma? In a brief speech, I informed the audience how about 28 years ago in Haridwar, I had the privilege of watching Ma in a state of samadhi that lasted for hours. I described as she was brought down to normal condition with much difficulty by uttering the divine name into her ears, and how spiritual conditions and how spiritual symptoms, lakshans, manifested themselves in the process of her descent to normalcy. Further, I recounted her own statement that Ma had no previous birth, nor would have another. Now that is up to discussion. Devotees talk about it. Then what was she? Most humbly, I requested Ma to tell us who she was. As usual, Ma avoided the answer and said softly, "What shall I say?" You know, the people who proclaim themselves, "I am this, I am that." Her Ma was everything, and she was always so. She was the essence of humility. She always just said, "I'm your little daughter." The other day, Gloria and I were walking, and we were looking at a tree with some berries on it. And I remembered Ma had occasional self-revelations to people who were really close. And she was walking with Guru Priya Didi, who was her attendant for over 50 years and a wonderful saint in her own right. We all love Didi. And she was walking with Didi. Didi had been with her for decades. And Didi suddenly stopped and said, "Ma, really, no kidding, who are you really?" And Didi wrote about this. And so Ma looked at her and just smiled because she loved Didi so much. Ma looked at her and smiled. Ma broke off, Ma did everything so deliberately. Ma broke off a little thorn from a branch of a tree. She picked a berry, and she picked, I think it was a tulsi leaf that was nearby, and gave it to Didi. And she pierced the berry with this thorn like an ink, like getting ink. She took the leaf and she wrote on it, Narayana, which is the old Lord, Vishnu. And she gave it to Didi. And Didi, oh, and Didi still preserved that leaf the rest of her life. I don't know where it is now, but that was Ma's self-definition. She didn't say I'm a little girl. She said, "I'm Narayan." Okay, so in this case, Ma simply said, "What shall I say?" in a quiet voice. On our request, Ma addressed the students and advised, "Get up early in the morning and take the divine name that appeals to you. Touch the feet of your parents, attend to your studies, obey your elders, speak the truth, and then play as much as you like." Like a simple child, she looked at me and said that she had nothing more to say. Out of her infinite grace, Ma came to our college and turned the place into a place of pilgrimage with a touch of her lotus feet. When I became free, I went to the summer house in the morning and spent the whole day there, attending the Rasa Lila, taking part in the Bhandara, that's the feeding, listening to lectures and Kirtan. I could see Ma from a distance. She was sitting like a statue at the Rasa and was chanting the divine names, moving in a circle with a party of singers from Delhi. In the afternoon, there's some mistakes and typos in this. In the afternoon, I came to learn that a respectable lady pressed Ma to show her some supernatural forms. Ma told her in that case she would lose all touch with the world. The lady persisted. She was reported to have seen a dazzling light, Jyoti, and screamed loudly. The lady said it was all Ma's grace. After sunset, Ma could do anything. Okay, someone who several of us know here, in fact, Pragya and I went to his house and interviewed. The patron of our Ma Sharanam ashram in India is Ashok Kulkarni, Ashok Baba, we called him. And he was a householder saint, a wonderful, wonderful yogi, a great, wonderful saint and a dear soul. And he had many deep experiences with Ma. We would sit and just talk to him for hours. He had amazing experiences with Ma. And he said, and he was a kind of a yogi from childhood days. He knew a lot of different kriyas. He did a lot of different yogic meditations. And it was a whole long story. I don't think I'll go into, but he said Ma wanted him and his wife to come to the ashram one time and have lunch with them. And he kept, and at the time the ashram was very poor, and he was afraid to use up the ashram's supply. So he kept denying and finally insisted. Ma said, come to lunch. So he came, and he found that what Ma wanted was, after lunch, other people all went to rest, and so Ma had Ashok Baba and his wife come and just sit in front of him, in front of her. He said, just sit here. So they just sat in front of Ma and looked at her, and suddenly Ashok realized that Ma, by looking at him, was making all these yogic kriyas happen in his spine. A kriya, is a movement of prana, of energy that's used for evolution of the body. So anyway, Ma was just looking at him and making all these kriyas happen. So he just watched how they were gone, how they did, how they went naturally, so he could then perform them. So Ma was actually literally showing him these different yogic kriya meditation techniques by just looking at him and making them happen in his body. So Ma can make anything happen. So she gave this lady, who she said, you're not ready for this, but she gave her this vision of light, and she screamed. After sunset, a brahmachari conducted me to Ma. His Holiness Swami Sadananda Tirtha of Shankara Mutt, Uttakashi, was there. I told Ma that I would soon retire from service the next July. I reminded her that 6 years ago, she herself had advised me to accept the Modinagar assignment for one term. The following conversation took place. Ma, where will you settle? I have a small house at Kashi and may stay there. Ma, oh yes, Kashi is an excellent place. Gopi Baba, that's a Mahamodhyaya Gopinath Kaviraj, one of the greatest saintly pundits of India, who was a wonderful devotee of mine. Ma called him Gopi Baba. Gopi Baba is there. When you go there, we shall be meeting in the evenings. Then I shall go to Kashi, Ma. Ma, yes, you do. You have seen all about this life. According to yogis, Kashi is a center of illumination. Agya Chakra, the seat of Shiva and Shakti above the earth's existence. So this is now this final thing he says. Now this is not the author himself speaking, going through that conversation in his own mind. The word evening is significant. Does it mean the evening of life? A child plays the whole day and longs for the mother when darkness gathers with the approaching night. Sunset and the evening star, one clear call for me. Ma's call is clearly heard when the bustle of life subsides. She calls us day and night, but who cares to hear? She comes without fail. Who cares to see? She knocks at the door again and again. Who cares to open? She goes back with tears in her eyes. Who cares to know? The child plays with toys in a dollhouse, awfully busy. No time to spare for her. Wife and children, gold and fame absorb our attention. We ignore the presence of Ma. She comes, ever comes, as sights and sounds, as thoughts and feelings, as pleasure and pain. Wise people say that Ma is a temporal expression of the eternal spirit, a special creation of the divine, an emanation of the ultimate reality, whose manifestation is the universe. She is in and beyond everything. Her vast presence overwhelms me and creates a gap between a tiny creature such as I and a mighty one who transcends all limits. These ideas are indispensable to those who move in and build up a system of ideas with reference to a universe of discourse. They dive deep into the mystery of life and present the world with bright gems of rare wisdom. I am a fool with very little understanding and dare not measure the unmeasurable. I want Ma, mostly human, a mother who can move on my level and respond to my feelings, and she would be. It is enough that I've got one. I'm not at all anxious to know if she had any guru, human or divine, if she is ever established in Brahman as part of her nature. I do not bother about her actual position in the hierarchy of gods, angels, or exalted souls. She is the mother who lives for her children and fills up gaps in their lives. If we feel thirsty, let us take a glass of water. What is the use of knowing the amount of water in a river? If we cannot do without Ma, Ma too cannot do without us. If we leave the toys and cling to her, she appears everywhere. in the blue above and the green below. Her smiling face is seen through every visible form and every neutral state. She comes, she ever comes. Isn't that beautiful? Very nice. So we want to go to Pragyasvini, but let's do just one quick exhortation from Ma. I know that I lose this bookmark. I had a little exhortation from Ma. Just what Ma, asked us to do. Oh, I had a paper clip on it, but I lost it. Here it is. Okay, so this is just some words of exhortation from Ma. She says, and she always wants to encourage us to have enthusiasm in our sadhana and to do sadhana. Like I said earlier, this is why she came, to show us the way and empower us the way. So Ma says, for those who are pilgrims in the path, it is imperative to forge ahead vigorously, energetically, and steadily with great speed. Sitting in a rickety cart will not do. Dynamic strength of mind is always needed. You yourself have to mold your own life. Keep this in mind. Try to undertake only work that can be done as worship, so that no time may be wasted by attending to it. Anything at all can be accomplished by sustained effort. You must spare, this is important, you must spare no pains to make the mind concentrated. That's like the essence of spiritual life. Without concentration, we can't have bhakti, we can't have meditation, we can't have anything. We have to, and in these days of constant stimulation.
Weapons of mass distraction.
That's right. We have a friend who calls the media the weapons of mass distraction. We're just bombarded day and night. We have to learn to make the mind concentrate. And this is why you practice dharana. That is, in meditation, whatever our object of meditation is or style we use, we keep bringing the mind back to it again and again and again. This creates concentration. So Ma says, you must spare no pains to make the mind concentrated. How many lives have not been frittered away in eating, drinking, and sleeping? I am immortal. This is the idea that should be given direction to your life. And she says, one seed, she used the word bij. We have bij mantra, is a small seed mantra. One seed has to be destroyed by sowing another seed. That is to say, the constant repetition of the bij mantra, the seed mantra, the seed of karma will be destroyed, and then no more new karma will be created. And she says, he is. If he were not, where would I be? He is actually touching me. If you keep up this attitude of mind, in other words, feeling the presence of God, of Ma, all the time, you will see that you will see him and him alone. If the I remains, let it remain as his servant, his handmaid. Thus you shall not be separate from him anymore. In order that this spirit may prevail, sustain uninterrupted japa. This is your main instruction. And japa, of course, is the repetition of mantra, of a divine name. The japa you think of, the more you think of your ishta, your beloved, the more your faith will increase. Do not allow your mind to wander in many directions, but become one-pointed, ek agra. Why should there be fear and anxiety? Solely because I imagine he is not near me. He is holding you. Why fear? If you cling to the one in whom fear is not, how can there be a question of fear? Oh. Okay, I have a great yogi friend, Swami Gyanananda, who was a Swiss Swami who lived in India for like 50 years. He was a saint. I used to go to him whenever I could. He lived in Missouri. And he'd tell me some of his adventures in the Himalayas or wandering among tigers and things. And he said, the yogi has no fear because he meditates on the one who fears. Okay, so there won't be so much talking. Let's break it up now with the Kirtan, and then we'll go to Pragya's reading from her book. And this is a very auspicious day. It's the birthday of Guru Ram Das. Today is in the Sikh tradition, the birthday of Guru Ram Das, the fourth Guru of the Sikh tradition. It's also the first day of the fall Navaratri. Navaratri means Navaratri, 9 nights. It's the 9 nights of the Divine Mother, of God, feminine, divine feminine. It's a joyful time in India. It's in India, every neighborhood will have their own shrine to Goddess Durga, and every night people would go and dance in front of it. And when I was in our ashram in India, we would go and we would take some of the kids, some of the best dancers, and some of the boys who played, and we would go to different neighborhood every night and just dance and sing at their shrines. It's a joyful time of the Divine Mother. So
it's also the Mahasamadhi of St. Teresa.
Oh, really? So which one?
I don't know.
One of the St. Teresa's also died today. So it's an auspicious day. So we're going to have, like we say, Ma these days gives darshanas through her photos. So let's look at photos of Ma, and let's sing a hymn to Ma in all of her forms. We say, Jaya Jagat Janani Jagadambe. Jaga is the universe. Janani, it means the birth giver of the universe and the mother of the world. These are all just from names of Ma. So Jaya, Jaga, Janani, Jagadambe. Okay, and I get the sound. I gotta do share screen. Good. Okay. Ambe Mata ki jai, Jaya Jagat Janani Jagadambe, Jaya Jagat Janani Jagadambe, Jaya Jagat Janani Jagadambe, Jaya Jagat Janani Jagadambe, Mata Bhavani, Mata Ambe, Mata Bhavani, Mata Ambe, Mata Bhavani, Mata Ambe, Mata Bhavani, Mata Ambe, Mahakali, Mahadurge, Mahakali, Mahadurge, Mahakali, Mahadurge, Kali, Mahadurge, Jai 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 Jagadambe, 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 Jai Jagat Janani Jagadambe, Jai Jagat Janani Jagadambe, Jai Jagat Janani Jagadambe, Jai Jagat Janani Jagadambe, Mata Bhavani, Mata Ambe, Mata Bhavani, Mata Ambe, Mata Bhavani, Mata Ambe, Mata Bhavani, Mata Ambe, Mahakali, Mahadurge, Mahakali, Mahadurge, Mahakali, Mahadurge, Mahakali, Mahadurge, Jai 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 Jagadambe, 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 Mata Ambe, 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 oh Mata Ambe, 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 oh Mata Ambe, Mata Ambe, Mata Ambe, Mata Ambe, Jagadambe, Jaya Jagajanani Jagadambe, Jaya Jagajanani Jagadambe, Jaya Jagajanani Jagadambe, Jaya Jagajanani Jagadambe. Ambe Mata ki jai, Shri Anandamayi Mata ki jai. Okay, so let's go to Pragya and her reading. And if you, maybe, I think some people are here for the first time, maybe describe your book briefly and its history. It's just been published.
Mangalananji, I'm still hearing. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Jema, so I'm going to be reading from Volume 2 of the Gospel of Sri Anandamayi Ma, which is the second volume of a book that I was blessed to work on for the past 8 years, I guess now, which started with being gifted some transcriptions of tapes of Ma actually giving satsang and answering questions live from 1960 to 1980. And the translation was a little bit awkward and had a lot of commentary in it. So we decided to go back to the initial tapes, and I went back to them with our beautiful friend Jaya, who's Ma's grand-niece. And I was just visiting her the other day, and we were reminiscing about being at the Harvard Library. And Jaya has a beautiful voice. She was taught by one of Ma's, for want of a better term, favorite bhajan singer, Chobi Banerjee. So Jaya sings in the same style. So here we were at the Harvard Divinity School archive room, kind of very formal, and nobody there kind of knows what we're about at first. But before we would listen to a tape, we were there for at least 6 months in a row, every day of the week. Jaya would sing the introductory mantras, and I would sing along with her. And it felt like the Ma's presence and the pervasiveness of the blessings from these chants just really filled this academic place. And just the other day, I took copies of the books back to Harvard to give to the two women who'd been sort of our hosts in the archives. And I felt like, well, first of all, they were so blessed to be receiving Ma's books, but I felt that they had been transformed in the course of our time there. And so it was beautiful to complete the circle and be able to take the books back. So we're going to read from tape number 83, which is a satsang that Ma gave in Bangalore. And I think it's the only one in the collection that takes place in South India. So just to begin with, to explain that in Sanskrit, the word aham has sort of two meanings. Aham with a small a, as we would call it, with a small case a, means I am. It can mean the personal ego, the personal self. But when it has a capital A, it means the great I am. It means the one. And so you'll see Ma is playing with that in this question and answer. Questioner: Ma, how is the abhimana, the ego, destroyed? Shri Ma, you are doing japa and dhyanam. Japa is repetition of mantra, dhyanam is meditation daily. Gradually, it will destroy your aham, your I am or ego. It is only due to this aham that you always say I. Where has this I come from? What is the source of it? Attain him and your I will evaporate. Ahamkara, ego, means aham kriya, actions stemming from the I. Questioner: Ma, this is not the question. The question is, how can one destroy his aham, his ego? What is the remedy? Shrima, to destroy this ego, some take the help of mantra. Others recite the name, do japa and dhyanam, meditation. Some follow the Guru's advice. Why? The main thing is that you should remove your avaran, the veil of ignorance. When you remove that avaran, you will have the darshan of the Maha Aham, the great I am, who is already in you shining all the time. At the very moment that you see that great I, your small I will melt away. You will be free from this small I, the Aham. Where has this ego come from? From him. He is the creator. Attain him and he will destroy it. This ego with you is not immortal, but that Aham, with a capital H, is immortal. The ego must die out, and it will. That is why he has awakened your mind to ask this question: how can it be destroyed? This very question coming from you is proof that God is with you. And if you keep on going on this path regularly, your aham will come to an end. You are traveling on the path of God. You have achieved the Shakti, the divine power, and that Shakti has brought this question to your mind. If you have the help of this power, you have this Guru Kripa, the grace of the Guru, always with you, and go on practicing as your Guru has told you to do, you will succeed in your mission. In whatever line you take, you will get his Shakti. If you go on the path of God, all obstructions will be cleared. Once the obstructions are gone, that Shanta Swarupa, God is peace, and Jnana Swarupa, God is in the form of knowledge, will manifest to you. All of these questions are there because you dwell in the atmosphere of duality. Take the grace of your Guru. Move forward with that grace. The questions will arise in you, but with the help of that grace, they will automatically be solved. You will have that Shakti in you. The very actions you do will infuse that divine power in you. This is how one can destroy one's ego, Baba. Swami Nirmalananda says, Sri Ma wants to say that you can remove your aham by sarva samarpana buddhi, the intellect of complete surrender. Surrender everything to him. This total surrender to him, this total submission will kill your ego. That is what the Bhagavad Gita says. Mayarpita manobuddhi, the one who surrenders his mind and his intellect to me. We have attained this path due to the grace of our Guru. We have accepted this practice due to his grace. If we have a resolute mind, we shall move on with this kriya. Ahamkara, ego, has to go. It will perish. This is totally certain, but it is the grace of the Guru that plays a special part in this regard. Therefore, I very humbly ask Sri Ma once again, why does she not shower her grace upon us so that we are all freed from that ahamkara here and now without any effort? Sri Ma, Baba has the answer to this question, but he's eager to listen to this child. And then she starts laughing. Swami Nirmalananda, if Ma is kind to us and showers her grace upon the sadhakas assembled here, their ego will be destroyed very easily and they will succeed in their lives. Sri Ma, this can be done by attaining satsang with a saint. It is the Guru Kripa, the Guru's grace, that will give you success. Your parents have given you the greatest wealth in bringing you into this world. Wherever you go, that wealth will lead you, and you will keep on doing that kriya, that spiritual practice. As a result of that kriya, you will be reaching higher and higher states. Therefore, everything is only his grace. Even the obstruction is his grace. Ma laughs. That obstruction wakens the desire in you to seek a solution. That is also Bhagavat Kripa, the grace of God, and Guru Kripa, Guru's grace. Jema.
Wonderful. Wow, there's so much content in that. So what's your take?
Oh my
God. What's your commentary?
I just love this distinction between the small I and the big I. And I love the hope that Ma gives that naturally, if we're on the path, this is inevitable, that this will happen. It's just a matter of time. I find it so encouraging. So that's the first thing. And obviously, everyone's trying to trick her into doing something right then and there in their presence that makes the whole thing happen automatically and easily. And I think if I'd been there, I would have wished for that myself. But clearly that's not in the card. She's saying you have to take these steps. You have to, put one foot in front of the other and make your entire life about seeking this oneness with God. So in a way, she's not letting anyone off the hook. Of course, her grace is there, or these people wouldn't be sitting in her presence, obviously. So I love the hope that she gives us that inevitably, eventually, we will let go of the small I and see that everything is the one I am.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, several things struck me too. It is true, when you were sitting with Ma, it was so uplifting that you did feel that she could immediately just go poof and make it, okay, Ma, let's do it right now, okay? But it is true that it doesn't work that way. I once did a study. For some reason, I think we all have our own brands of ignorance. For some reason, I found that Indians very often would come with the gurus and say, "Oh, Guruji, I can do nothing. You have to do everything for me. I take refuge in you." And so you are supposed to take refuge. And on one level, Christ and the Guru do everything, but there is a part we play. And they'd always say, I will not do sadhana. You do everything for me, Guruji. I once did a study. I wrote it down. It's like a paper I did of what. Here's a great ones. Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Ramdas, Swami Shivananda, and Anandamayi Ma said about how they replied to this answer. And they all said, buddy, it doesn't work that way. And they all had their own way of saying it, And like Ramakrishna, was saying, what are you saying? You have to work with yourself. And Ma had an issue. Ma said, why is it that you're all capable of earning money, having a family, enjoying yourself, but then when it comes to sadhana, suddenly you become a paraplegic. You can't move. I can't do anything. And she laughs and says, why is that? She said it doesn't work that way. Everyone has a part to play. Grace has a part to play. But we think of our own effort. It really ultimate is grace. But as we're in our present state of mind, our own effort is needed. And it is true, Pragya, I agree with you 100%. In reading through these long satsangs of Ma speaking, it's so inspiring and so encouraging, because she just keeps saying, it will happen. Like, remember that first one we had read, I think a couple of satsangs ago, where she said, when the seed is planted in the earth, the Shakti of the seed and the earth make the seed sprout. So she said, when you plant that seed of the Beej Mantra in your heart, it will sprout. I mean, she says it in so many different ways. She says, it will happen. Just keep going on. So and when we read that, because sometimes it's discouraging. It's a long path. It's difficult. It has many obstructions. And it's actually said today, even the obstructions are the presence of God showing you how to get around them. So it's reading her words is so encouraging. This new book is just an amazing contribution to Ma's literature. One thing I want to talk about also is throughout the satsang, she talks about this avarana, this curtain, and this is, in any true spiritual teacher will know this, that it is true. We are, like she said in the end, this great Maham, this great I am, is already there, shining within you. But the reason we don't experience it is because this avarana, this curtain, obscures our consciousness. Our consciousness has become split, and we're externalized. And so this curtain, which is made up simply of the uncontrolled mind and its thoughts and its rambling thoughts, that's what it's made from, and desires and vasanas and some scars, it's made of this. But she says, you have to go through that, and sadhana is what takes you through that with grace. But there's a movement now. I think they call it Neo-Vedanta, and there's several so-called teachers who are teaching this right now. But we know we have experience of one of them. I won't name any names. Who would just say, "You're already illumined. You don't need to do any sadhana. You are that. You are." So they don't even acknowledge the fact it's mistaking ultimate truth with relative truth. Ultimate truth is we are enlightened. Ramana Maharshi talked about it. Right now, someone asked him, he said, Bhagavan, you were at the top of the mountain, we were at the bottom. How did we get up there? And he said, by simply completely erasing this idea that I am at the top and you are at the bottom. But he prescribed a method of meditation. He prescribed sadhana. He was very big on that. So there are modern day teachers who are now saying, all you have to do is just say you're realizing, you're realized. And they're not even acknowledging the main hindrance, which this avarana, this curtain, veil of ignorance, which separates us from our true radiant self. They not even acknowledge the problem is that, so they obviously don't have a way of saying the problem. So it's so please be cautious of this. Don't ever follow a teacher who says you're already illumined, because like I say, it's true, but they're not acknowledging the fact that there is a veil we have to get through to really come back into that. And Ma said many times, said, if it's something new, it's not eternal. What's eternal is always there, it's always true. And she would say, you are already realized, but you have to go into it and become one with that inner self to realize it. So yeah, that's good. She talks about this a lot in the wonderful. So let's see. Why don't we do the short meditation now, and then we'll open up the floor for discussion and sharing. And we really want to hear from people and their thoughts on all this. But let's do what Ma said and do a brief meditation. And let's just go for a few minutes. Let's go to 2:30. So let's kind of walk it through together. There are many ways of meditation, but Ma, and also everything was under Ma's direction. But I'll tell you how she taught me and how in our lineage we do it. So we just sit quietly, and we make sure the body is relaxed and at ease. And then we let go of the mind too. We relax the mind, we relax the thinking process. And we let the mind just drop into the present moment, just here and now. And then in this present moment, we become aware of the respiration of the breath moving in front of us. And we just very quietly watch the natural movement, the natural rhythm of the breath, letting the mind stay with the entire inhalation, the entire exhalation, without controlling it, just watching, calmly watching the breath. And then we complete the process by adding whatever mantra or divine name we work with. It can be anything, Vaheguru, it can be Jalam, it can be Om Ma. Whatever mantra we've been given or we work with, we add to the breath, to the natural rhythm of the breath, fitting the mantra to the rhythm of the breath. And just as we inhale, we can mentally sing Om Ma, exhaling, and letting the mantra be joined to the breath. So it vibrates within the natural rhythm of the breath. And when the mind wanders, we bring it back to that again, again, and again. Bring it back to in the moment, in the breath, in the moment. With love and attention. Bhavata Bhavana Shnyehi Ananda Dhanamurtaye Jnana Bhakti Pradayane Matasti Shri Anandamayi Mata Ki Jai. That's good. Now we're doing a little bit of what Mahan said. Ma was really insisting about encouraging people to use the breath with the mantra. We said it's really helpful. It makes the japa very natural. As you go through the day, try to keep doing the same thing as you're doing in meditation. And I can tell you that it takes sustained practice. But there is a point where the mantra and the mind and the breath just flow into one, and something very divine happens at that time. And it becomes much easier to do it from then on. It's a very, very wonderful practice. Okay, so let us now open up the room here in our community for discussion. So if anyone, now I would ask, we're here to talk about Ma, her teachings, her life. So let's keep it on the subject. Okay, there's infinite things to talk about. Let's talk about Ma. But anything anyone wants to share, your reactions to the readings today, anything we've said, your own experiences with Ma, anything, we'd love to hear something from you. So I think how we do Savita, you will watch to see whose hands up. See if you look at your bottom row here in the Zoom thing, there's one thing that says reactions. You can click on that at the very bottom bar. And there's one that says holding up your hand on the far left. No, raise hand at the bottom there. If you just do that, then you will see your hands up as Savita can call. So we kind of keep it organized, okay? So Savita, anybody have a hand raised?
Jai Ma, everyone. I'm sorry I was here a little bit late, but I'm sending my greetings. I have the great fortune that I'm going to India, and I will be receiving Diksha with Ma in November. And these readings are just so perfect, as usual. Ma, she's so wonderful. I was in Maine, and I was hopeful to maybe see Prajna while I was there, on my way back, but I ended up in the emergency room with kidney stones. And so I'll be having a procedure tomorrow to remove those kidney stones just in time for India. And so I'm sure that as I tell you this story, right, little vrittis are popping up in your head. And in the same way, like this little life is such an opportunity for purification and for surrender to Ma. And it has been for me. When I was introduced to Ma, it was in 2000. Well, I mean, I think I read the book Autobiography of a Yogi quite earlier, but when I was desperate and when I had been diagnosed with cancer in 2006, I went back, and it was Ma who was the solace in a very difficult year of treatment, and continued to be. And then on this journey, it's just absolutely amazing that I'm ending up in Hardwar with Diksha after all these years. And the path of a spiritual person is never easy. It is we need each other. Let's just put it that way. We are warriors on this path, and of purification. And to think that it would be easy is difficult, because I just can't. At least it hasn't been for me. And if you saw my Jyotish chart, you would agree. And we all have our own path, and we all have our own way. And it is our job to dissolve into that, into the purification of what is our little life. And there we find the great life, the big life. So I just want to say thank you so much to this satsang that has got me here and to this place. And I'll be taking all of you with me. And I'm so excited. Thank you so much.
Jai Ma, it's wonderful.
Jai Ma.
Let's talk about that a little bit. So that's a wonderful opportunity. Diksha and the Ma's lineage. Let's talk about that. When people came to Ma back in the 1920s and 30s, they all said, we want to be initiated by Ma, blah, blah, blah. And Ma always said, this body doesn't initiate anyone. And so what happened was, Bhaiji and Bholanat was Ma's husband, who was a great saint, who was also Ma's first. She initiated Bholanat, he was her husband and disciple, and he became a really great saint. And so Bholanat would give the Diksha in Ma's presence, and people felt both were connected to both. When Bholanat passed away in 1937, I think, Ma's mother took sannyas and became Swami Muktananda Giri. Ma's mother was a saint from birth. We can go on and on about her. She was an ideal human being, incredible saint, but kept it all inside. So she was so humble. Ma once said to someone I know in a private interview, he said, Ma would call her Giruji. She said, Giruji, someone like Giruji is born only once in centuries because she's a perfect realized yogi. She has all the yogic powers, but she's chosen to keep it totally, to use nothing and keep it totally inside. So she was just an humble, and she just traveled with Ma and wanted to keep her eyes on Ma. So then Ma had Didi Ma, that's her own mother, Giruji, started giving Diksha in her name. And Giruji had hundreds of disciples. And then when Giruji passed away, Didi Ma, Ma's mother, passed away in 1970, Ma herself began giving Diksha for the first time in a very unusual way, and she manifested certain things she used to give the Diksha. And so she would give the Diksha herself. She would say, God is your Guru, like this. She always kind of she put aside the honor to someone else. And so Ma began giving Diksha. So then Swami Bhaskaranandaji, who was one of Ma's main Swamis, Ma trained him and raised him and purified him and illumined him. He was a great illumined saint. Again, so humble, to give Diksha in her name after she left this body. And she told him how, and she empowered him. And for many years, he's the one who sent me back to India in 2001. He would give Diksha in Ma's name, traveled all over the world. And then when he passed away, I think someone else did, Swami Nirvanananda did for a while, he's passed away. And then for a while, this Chandan Devi was giving Diksha the way Ma did. But then there was no one to carry on this lineage. And so recently, the Anandamayi Sangha at Ma's main ashram in Haridwar has announced that when Acharya, I think Swami Nirgunananda went to them and said, we should have a way to continue giving Diksha. So they're following they're using the things that Ma used and following the way Ma told them and continuing to give Diksha into this lineage. So it's very interesting. We should open up kind of recently. And they're doing it several times a year in several different ashrams, in the Bhimpura ashram and the Kankal ashram. So you're going to Kankal, Saraswati, is that right?
Yes, Hardwar.
Yeah, Hardwar, Kankal, same thing. Okay, interesting. So that's an opportunity. If people want, they can follow that up also. Maybe be in touch with Pragya as far as, don't you have the details for that, Pragya? Like when and how?
Yes, I do. If anyone else is interested, I have the initial letter that went out describing the process.
Yeah, why don't you put your email in the chat so if people are interested in that.
Will do.
Okay. So congratulations, Saraswati. That's wonderful. It's beautiful. And if you get a chance, please visit our Ma Sharanam ashram in Madhya Pradesh too. Really.
And yes, then I'm going there. I've already gotten in touch with Swami Guru. All's good. Yes.
Good. We'll have a great trip. Wonderful. Wow. Fantastic. Very good.
Okay, and I see a hand up from Michael.
Yes. Well, thank you for the wonderful readings. And I finished the first gospel book, and I have this one thing that's sticking in my mind that Ma talked about. In the reading that Mangalanda did today, the man said, Ma comes as pleasure and pain. And I really like that, But when the parts in the book where Ma talks about pleasure or bog or bog, however you call that, and she talks about that is your ticket. That's the poison that will bring your return ticket back.
She does. Yes, she does.
And then she goes so far at one place to say that even if you touch another human being, that's not a good thing. It's like it's so austere in some places of the of the book, of her teaching, and I just wanted some feedback from Pragna or Mangalananda about that, because it just, I mean, I do like contact improv, I dance, I do all these things that I think are spiritual things, but within her teaching, I question that. So that's where I'm at. So I don't know.
No, it's a very good question, Michael. It's a very good question. And you have to take it in context.
Yeah.
When I was traveling with Ma, and in the years I lived in India, I had our ashram wasn't so prejudiced against foreigners, but some of our ashrams were run by Orthodox Brahmin Bengalis who were like Orthodox to death, to the point of superstition. And there was even a prejudice against foreigners since we didn't have a caste or anything. Ma spoke from the Indian tradition and Indian culture, and she had a very high bar. Her teachings can be extremely austere. She always, presented them very lovingly and very, in a maternal way, and also she had a wide range of acceptance. She said, do what you can. She said, this is not, sannyasis can do one thing, grihastas, grihastas can do another. She always had a wide range of how you work within that and how you're comfortable within that. But there is a thing in Indian culture. It's interesting. There's a thing about touching among sadhus. Some sadhus, like I travel among sadhus a lot. A lot of times swamis come up and just hug each other. Oh, so happy to see you. In Ma's ashram, they didn't have very much thing about not touching. I once Swami, who's the friend Swami? Pragya, who's our friend Swami friend we love so much?
Swami Vijayananda.
Yeah. I went up to Swami Vijayananda and I touched his feet and I touched him. I said, oh, Swami, I'm so good to have you. And his attendants were saying, oh, no, you don't touch here. We don't touch. I said, well, you should go to some other ashrams. We touch each other all the time. And so some sadhus have a thing about not touching. And I remember, Michael, reading that very passage in the first volume. Recently, I was reading it because I've also finished the first volume now. Where Ma says, it's better not to touch because the person with the higher vibration will either absorb the lower vibration or the lower vibration can pull too much from the other person. Again, we have to take that within the context of our own culture and our own life. We're a very touching culture. We all hug each other and shake hands. And in India, a lot of times people don't touch; they only pranam, and they won't. The sadhus, especially, who are doing very intense sadhana, were trying to keep their shakti with themselves. With brahmacharya, with celibacy, and not touching anyone else. And it's a matter of kind of where you are in your sadhana. So I'm not going to say Ma is wrong. Touching is okay. Obviously, I'm not going to say that. I think it all has to be taken within the context of our own culture, within the context of our own life and how we can do it. Ma always said, try make things work in a way that works for you and comfortable. Yeah. And it's one of these paradoxes where she had a very high bar and was very strict. Same time, she said it has to be something you can do. And to those who came to Ma and really offered their life, she had a lot of rules. I'll tell you, she was sticky with a lot of rules. She had me do a lot of different things. Swami, our dear Atmananda, who came from Austria and was with Ma for many decades, boy, she just plastered with all these observances, and they all have their purpose. They have the purpose for preserving energy, for concentrating the mind, for purification. So it just depends, what you've received and where we are. And doesn't mean that we're too low to follow those examples. No, it's just we move within our own realm, our own society, and we have to work. We can't say, somebody shakes your hand, you go, no, I don't touch people. That's just going to be weird.
Yeah, that's helpful to place it in the context of our culture and where we're at personally in our practice. So thank you.
And I can see I was a lot of times when Ma would have private sessions. I would have private sessions with Ma and with other Westerners. We'd always talk about what did Ma say and this and that, and she would be strict. Without undoubtedly, she would be strict. Same time, she would always say, make it work within your life. So we do have to take it in that context also. Does that make sense? It's a good question, though.
Pragna, I think, wants to say something.
I just want to say something. Thank you so much, Michael, for bringing this up. First of all, I've always felt that the Hindu tradition, Sanatana Dharma, is extremely well balanced in terms of life. There are these four aims of life, the Purusharthas, and there's Dharma, there's Artha, there's Moksha, of course, is the final one, and Kama is in there, which is desire and worldly. So there's this idea of moving through life towards, as you get older, taking, simplifying your life, letting go of some of your attachments, so that realistic towards being my age, where you start to shed a lot of those passions. But I think when Ma talks about passions being a poison, she's talking about the difference between looking outward for everything and looking inward for peace. And she's saying that the outward facing life it's not going to get you there, that you have to be able to go within. And so I think there's a kind of flow as we get older towards starting to look more within and letting go of the grasping of the things that are outside us that might bring us happiness. So I usually I must say, I never worried about the touching thing. And that's, even in India, depending on the Swami, there are Swamis who, aren't so strict about touching. So, but I think in the context of American life, it's more of an inner process. We're trying to turn within, not that we're trying to become, sadhus necessarily, or monks or whatever. But anyway, I'd be happy to talk to you about it, especially at any specific passage that's kind of sticking with you, because I guess I seem to have flowed through those without getting too scared that I'm on the wrong track.
No, thank you. That's also a very good explanation, Pragya, and very good explanation. And Ma talked many times about, that's why we have these satsangs. We are going against the current of modern society, both, but even in India now too, even though the real current of India society is different. But like all of our society now says, indulge. The advertisers are always like, indulge your passions, buy this, blah, blah, blah. And Ma is warning against that. When we just like dive into indulgence, of like mad sexuality, mad, people are just obsessed with food, with sexuality, with entertainment, constantly having the senses stimulated in every way, constantly watching TV, constantly on your phone, constantly externalizing your consciousness, as Pragya was saying, and making it totally externalized. She said, Ma said, that's the poison that leads to death. In indulging yourself like that, just overstimulating your senses, he said that leads to death. It's the poison. Yogananda called it the poison honey. And it is true, we have to make the mind internalized. In fact, we were at Gurdwara this morning, and Sikhi, this Guru Granth Sahib constantly talks about the Guru Mukh. That means the one who has the face toward the Guru. So we try to turn our faces inward towards Ma, which is where Ma really is, inwardly. So it is true, we try to internalize our mind as much as we can. And obviously we have to live in the world, we have jobs, we have friends, we do things, we work. But
I guess I have a little bit of background in Tantra. So, in that view, the pleasure can be a doorway to the divine. And if you're indulging in it, you're not following that portal to the divine. But that's the intention of that view, to make all of your senses and everything become a portal to the divine. So that's why when he said Ma comes as pleasure and pain, that's kind of that view to me. But her view is more austere. So anyways, it's a
but
big...
also want to be yeah, that's true. In real Tantra, Everything is used to, everything is sublimated to go to God. I just want to warn you and all people, this word tantra, mispronounced tantra, is a dirty word in the West. It's been
Yes.
and misconstrued even more than the holy word yoga, just to mean yoga. Tantra is, our ashram in India is a tantric ashram. That means tantra is the esoteric invocation of the Divine Mother through mantra, yantra, and kriya, in a very prescribed way through very precise and austere scriptures. And sexuality is a very, very small part on the left-hand side. I mean, everything is absorbed into it, but the West has taken this word tantra and taken this little part out of it and turned it into this weird. You have I've seen big billboards, tantric meetings with people. You know, it's like orgies and stuff. You know.
Yeah, that's totally wrong.
Yeah. So be very wary when you hear the word tantra in the West. Tantra in India is a very sacred worship of the Divine Mother. This is the time of tantra now. We're in Navaratri, worship of Divine Mother. So it's just, you know, be aware that the word tantra is not what has been totally misconstrued blasphemously in the West. I know you know that, Michael. I'm just kind of giving a general warning here. Okay, well, thank you, Michael. That's very. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that was very good. Thank you. It's a really big topic, so
yeah.
Thank you. Very helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other hands raised, Savita?
Yes. Sanjay, do you have a question still?
Sanjay?
Yeah, ma'am. I'm Shivank. I just wanted to just talk, like, I just feel really good after this satsang. It just gives me sort of pleasure, and love how today during the reading I heard a point like when we want to do something, when we try to think for that, automatically there'll be like a divine grace for God coming to us, and it will start automatically. We will start seeing on ourselves the things getting manifested slowly, and what we try to think. And also, if there's like something like a hard task, we tend to think, oh, we tend to lose our motivation, but somewhere we'll get some kind of good vibrations that will tend to take us towards that direction. Hey, you can get this thing in your right direction. I just kind of like that so much.
Yes, very good. Thank you for the observation. Yeah, Ma is always very encouraging, and and these satsangs, that's why they're so important. You know, we support each other and we read these wonderful, encouraging words of Ma. We learn how to do it, and it is true when we face obstacles. Ma says these are also a form of God. They come to us to strengthen us, to show us how to get by them. If everything was just smooth and easy, we just get lazy and fat and sleek, and we don't have any skills whatsoever. It's all the it's all the obstacles that come to us that strengthen us and teach us how to be wise and how to be strong. Yeah. So good. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed this session. It's very good.
And we have a hand up from Frank.
Hey, Frank, you there?
Jai Ma. All right. So I wanted to speak about what the gentleman was talking about. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So I just finished reading that same chapter that he was reading, and I believe that what she was talking about was during meditation. When you're meditating, you should sit not too close to each other, but to stand up a little bit apart so you're not picking up other people's energy. I think that's what she was talking about in that. What the whole thing was about, not touching. It was mostly, I feel like if I read it right, was to do when you're sitting in meditation, you sit up straight. And then she was talking about not touching people or letting people touch you while you're in meditation. That's what I took from that. I don't know if I'm right on there. The second thing, when Ma talks about that everything is God, that there's only one God without a second, it means everything that you perceive, every thought. So even pleasure is Brahman, and pain is also Brahman. There is no separateness in it. But if you live in a dualistic world, then you're going to see pain and pleasure. But if you see God in everything, if you see Ma in everything, then there's only Ma. So that pleasure is Ma, that pain is Ma. Everything is Ma. There's nothing outside of it. Everything is that. So whatever I'm feeling, whatever I'm thinking, I know that it is Ma. And so when I hear stories where people are in suffering, and they thank Ma, thank you for coming to me in this form. I know that it is you in this form coming to me in this form, and I accept that as that. When you accept that as that, then where's the suffering? There is no suffering if there's only God. So God is the suffering, and God is the enjoyer. So it's all just one. So that's what I'll say about that.
Yeah, thank you, Frank. And that's true. That is Ma's teaching. She says it's no other than God, and try to see everything as God. We sing a bhajan. We say, Mahi Sukame, Mahi Dukame. Mahi, it's only Ma in suffering and happiness and pleasure, and happiness and pain and suffering. Yeah, it's definitely true. We try to see Ma. Like I like to look at the saints for examples, like Swami Ramdas of South India. Was this wonderful saint who wandered through India just immersed in saying Ram Nam. And he writes in his books, later wrote about some of the experiences, really beautiful books. And he wrote about it. He was so immersed in God that he experienced everything is bliss. He would get this incredible fever. So he would have malaria. He'd be lying there with 105 fever, and he experienced it only as bliss. He'd be walking barefoot in the hot sun, and he experienced the heat burning his feet as bliss, because he was experiencing everything as God. So the more we kind of take it intellectually, the more we began to experience it in real life. It's true. But also, Frank, yeah, that is true. In meditation, you should not be touching someone. That's a very true point. I'm sure Mav is referring to that also. But definitely in India, there is a whole thing about people who don't want to be touched at certain stages of the sadhana. The brahmacharinis, the renunciate nuns who surrounded Ma, who were her attendants and traveled with her, had to keep themselves very pure, because they were doing Ma's direct seva. They were dressing her, they were preparing her food. And so they were very strict about their observances. And we call them the don't touch me's. If they touched a foreigner, they literally have to go bathe and change their clothes before they could do Ma seva in their own minds. I don't know what Ma said, but so they were always like, "Oh, don't touch me, don't touch me." So there are certain sadhus who don't touch, so that is also in society. And in certain stages of sadhana, it's very, very true that you don't want to anyway have any kind of leak of prana out of your system. So both ways are true. Yeah. But thank you.
I have a question. In the book, she says, there's only one God without a second. But how do you pronounce it? It's Ekam Brahma Diwati Nasti?
Dvityo.
What?
The third word is Dvityo.
Dvityo Nasti. Yeah.
Dvityo Nasti. Dvityo. So it's just that's the word for other, second, dual. Yeah, Dvityo.
It's one of the Mahavakyas from the Upanishads that Ma was frequently quoting. Yeah. So Savita, we have let's see, what time is it? Yeah, we have maybe one more minute. Let's take one more. Does anyone else have their hand up for talking?
I don't think there's anyone else. No.
Seth Perk, are you still with us? We're maybe she's signed off. Okay. Okay, well, thank you all for coming and participating in our satsang of Anandamayi Ma. And it just warms my heart. It thrills my heart to see everyone every time, because we have community. We have wonderful people who come every month, and so come whenever you can, every third Sunday, and share with us these teachings and Ma's presence. And we help each other, and we look to Ma to show us how to proceed in our life, both in her teaching and in her presence and her empowerment. And Saraswati, have a great trip, and have a wonderful time with Diksha, and receive it openly and practice what you're taught.
Thank you so much, Jai Ma.
Jai Ma.
And good luck tomorrow with your surgery.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So people want to unmute and say goodbye. We're always happy to see you all.
Let's
Thank
unmute.
you.
Thank you.
Jai Ma.
Thank you.
Jai
Jai Ma, thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Jai Ma.
Mangalananda
Thank
ji,
you.
thank you.
Jai Ma. Thank you.
Up to everyone.
Jai Guru Ma Bhagavan. Jai Guru Ma Bhagavan.
Say, my friend.
Jai Guru Ma Bhagavan. Om
Next month, okay? Say, ma.
Jai Ma.